3 days before the wedding, Chloe cried, saying she had fallen in love with someone she couldn't have. I patted her back and called my fiancé Daniel. She's drunk. Come pick us up. When he pushed the door open, I pretended to be asleep at the table, waiting for him to carry me home. He reached out and touched my shoulder, then stopped. The next second, he stepped past me and hugged my best friend. He said, "Chloe, I'm here." In that moment, I knew who the person she couldn't have really was. The air conditioning in the hotel private room was set low. Beads of water clung to the outside of the glasses, and ice cubes clinked against the bottoms with a few crisp sounds. Chloe buried her face in her palms, her shoulders heaving.
Emma, I'm screwed.
I slid the tissues over to her, my fingertips brushing her cold hand. "Don't cry yet. Tell me what's going on." She looked up at me, her eyes red and swollen, the lipstick on her lips smudged by the wine, making her look pitiful. "I've fallen in love with someone I can't have." I froze, the rim of my glass pressed against my lips without moving. She was my college roommate for 4 years and my maid of honor. Over the years, when Daniel and I fought, she'd curse him out with me. When I worked late into the night, she'd bring congee and wait for me downstairs at the office. When my mom was in the hospital and Daniel was away on business, Chloe ran the payment windows for me, wearing down her heels without a single complaint. So seeing her cry like this, my first reaction wasn't suspicion. It was sympathy. "Does he have a girlfriend?" She didn't answer. Tears fell into her wine glass. I sighed and reached over to wipe the corner of her eye. "Then end it." She grabbed my hand suddenly, her nails digging into my wrist bone. "I can't." My wrist went numb from her grip. I tried to pull away, but she let go and lowered her head with a faint smile. That smile was light, hanging beneath the tears, and it made my chest tighten. "He's too good to me, Emma. I really didn't mean to." I frowned. "He's good to you, so you're going to ruin someone else?" Chloe looked up at me, her eyes going blank for a moment before dropping quickly. "What if that person likes me too?" My heart skipped a beat. Footsteps passed outside the private room door, sliding through the crack. The smell of alcohol mixed with sweet perfume crept into my nose. Suddenly, I felt something was off about tonight's drinks. She had said she wanted a private drink with me before the wedding, to toast to me marrying for love. She even hugged me with a smile, saying she wouldn't be able to call me out anytime soon. She had poured me 2 glasses of fruit wine. My head was a little dizzy, but my mind was still clear. "Chloe." I pulled my hand out of her grip. "What are you really trying to say to me today?" She stared at me, tears welling up again. "I don't know what to do." I picked up my phone. On the screen was a message Daniel had sent half an hour ago. He said the last batch of flowers was being set up at the wedding house, and he bought my favorite chestnut cake. He'd come pick me up soon. My finger paused over his profile picture. It was a photo taken at the beach last year. He was facing away from the camera, holding a bouquet of flowers in his hand. When I took the picture, he turned back and called out, "Emma, don't run too far." The sea breeze had pressed my skirt against my legs, and I was bent over laughing. I always thought that while many things about people could change, Daniel wouldn't. I dialed his number. The phone rang twice. He answered quickly. "Done drinking?" His voice was low, with a hint of a smile. My throat burned from the alcohol. "Chloe's drunk. Come pick us up." There was a half-second pause on the line. "What's wrong with her?" I looked at Chloe. She was staring down, using her fingertip to wipe off the makeup around her eyes bit by bit. The pearl earrings on her ears swayed lightly. Those were the bridesmaid gift I gave her. "She's in a bad mood." Daniel said, "I'm on my way." After he hung up, Chloe grabbed her glass and downed the rest of the wine. "Why did you call him? In this state, I can't get you home by myself." Her lips moved, but she said nothing more. I leaned back in my chair, my stomach churning with sourness, the hum of the air conditioner filling my ears. About 10 minutes later, the door to the private room opened. Daniel stood at the entrance, his black shirt sleeves rolled up to his forearms, his hair tousled by the wind, holding my jacket in his hand. He looked at me first. "Why did you drink so much?" I wanted to smile, to act like before, pretend to be asleep on the table, waiting for him to walk over and scoop me into his arms. He always did that. Whether in public or private, if I drank a little too much, he'd bend down, slide his arm under my knees, and scold me softly. Next time, don't drink on an empty stomach. I buried my face in the crook of my arm, the corners of my mouth turned up, pretending not to hear. This time I also put my head down, forehead against my arm, the coolness of the table seeping through my skin into my bones. Daniel's footsteps approached, leather shoes on the carpet, muffled. His hand landed on my shoulder, fingertips touching me through the thin dress. I held my breath, waiting for him to help me up, but his hand stopped. 2 seconds of stillness in the air. Then that hand left me. I heard a chair being moved, heard Chloe's muffled sobbing. Daniel. She called his name, not a polite, distant title, not Emma's fiancé, not the groom from their usual jokes. It was Daniel. Daniel walked over to her, his voice low, almost against her ear. Chloe, I'm here. My eyes were open, my view blocked by my own arm. I could only see the corner of the tablecloth hanging down and the direction Daniel's toes turned. The alcohol drained cleanly from my veins. I heard Chloe ask, "Does she know?"
Daniel said, "No."
Chloe cried harder. "I can't take it anymore. She talks to me every day about the wedding, about your future home, about how she wants to give you a daughter. I'm going crazy." Daniel was silent for a long time, so long that my fingernails dug into my palm, leaving a painful mark. He said, "Just endure 3 more days. Just endure 3 more days." When those 4 words fell, the light in the private room flickered. My stomach clenched, my throat full of alcohol and bitterness. Chloe grabbed Daniel's sleeve. "You're still going to marry her? The wedding can't be stopped." Daniel's voice was very low. "The hotel, the guests, both sets of parents have been notified. Her dad just transferred the $200,000 gift money to my mom. If we cause a scene now, it'll be ugly for both families." I wanted to sit up, but my arms were frozen. "So you've calculated it all so clearly." Chloe sniffled. "What about me?" Daniel didn't answer immediately. She said again, "You said you'd come clean with her after the wedding." My teeth bit my tongue, the taste of blood spreading. After the wedding. He wants me to put on the wedding dress, wear the ring, call him husband in front of all our relatives and friends, and then wait for him to grant me a confession. Chloe's voice trembled. "Are you reluctant to let her go?" Daniel sighed. "She didn't do anything wrong." I closed my eyes. That sentence stung more than any curse word. He knows I did nothing wrong. He knows clearly I did nothing wrong. But he still puts me on the wedding altar as a fig leaf. Chloe suddenly laughed. Of course she did nothing wrong. She has everything. Her parents dote on her. She has a decent job. You chased her for 4 years. Even her acting spoiled gets a response. Chair legs scraped the carpet. She stood up. "What about me? I've had to read people's expressions since I was young. She has everything she wants. If I want just a little, it becomes stealing." Daniel lowered his voice to stop her. "Chloe." She cried and threw herself into his arms. The sound of fabric rubbing against my eardrums, my fingertips cold and numb. I slowly pulled my phone out from under the table, my finger pressing the record button. There was no music in the private room, only Chloe's intermittent crying. "Don't be mad at me.
I just want you to hold me."
Daniel didn't push her away. A few seconds later, I heard his palm pat her back. That pat was very light. I've seen him comfort people like this. Before, when I woke up from a nightmare, he would pat my back like that and say, "It's okay, I'm here." Now he gives those words to someone else. I buried my face deeper, the tip of my nose against my cuff, smelling the faint lemon scent of laundry detergent. This dress was picked by Daniel. He said for the last gathering with girlfriends before the wedding, "Wear something bright, be happy." I almost laughed out loud. The corners of my mouth had just started to lift when tears first soaked into the fabric. Chloe said, "Daniel, can I not be the bridesmaid on the wedding day?"
"No."
"Why?" "If you suddenly don't go, she'll get suspicious. So, You want me to stand by her side and watch her marry you? Daniel's breathing became heavier. I'm putting you through this. Chloe laughed softly. She's the one being put through it, isn't she? After that sentence, the room fell silent again. Daniel said, "Don't say that." Chloe asked, "Do you feel sorry for her?" He didn't answer. In that silence, I went through my memories of the past 7 years. The year I graduated from college, Daniel waited for me in the rain, his pants soaked, clutching 2 movie tickets. When I worked overtime and had a stomachache, he parked his car downstairs from my company and waited for 3 hours. The first time my dad met him, he deliberately asked what he'd do if he couldn't afford a house. He said he'd earn it slowly, that he wouldn't let Emma suffer with him. Those words weren't lies. Maybe the lies came later. His phone buzzed. Daniel said quietly, "My mom's pushing me. I'll take her home first." Chloe didn't let go. "What about me?" "I'll call a driver." Chloe's voice suddenly rose. "You're afraid to even drive me home?" My eyelashes fluttered. Daniel immediately looked toward me. I stayed curled up, my fingers pressing hard against the edge of my phone. He stepped closer and bent down to look at me. I could feel his breath on the top of my head. "Emma?" I didn't move. His hand landed on the side of my neck, his fingertips touching my pulse. I almost flinched away. He tested for a few seconds, then pulled my jacket over me.
She's asleep.
Chloe said, "Are you afraid she'll wake up?" Daniel didn't answer. Chloe laughed, a hoarse sound. "See, you're still afraid of her." Daniel lowered his voice. "Enough." I heard him pay the bill, then heard him call the driver. 10 minutes later, the server came in to clean up, and Daniel finally picked me up. His arms were still steady, his chest still held the warmth I knew. But my whole body was tense, my jaw clenched so hard it ached. Chloe followed behind, her heels slow. When we reached the car, she suddenly spoke. "Emma's so lucky. Even drunk like this, someone carries her." Daniel's step stopped. I lay in his arms with my eyes closed, tears sliding from the corners to my temples, chilled by the night wind. He put me in the back seat and leaned over to fasten my seatbelt. I caught the scent of Chloe's perfume on his collar. It was cloyingly sweet. The click of the buckle locking into place sounded. And in that same sound, I saved the recording. By the time the car reached the wedding apartment building, rain was falling. Daniel opened an umbrella, came around to the back seat, and carried me upstairs. The elevator mirror reflected us. I kept my eyes closed, my head on his shoulder, a layer of damp heat under my eyelids. He looked down at me several times. Each time, I felt his gaze linger on my face, then shift away. The wedding apartment door opened, and the smell of roses and new furniture rushed out. In the living room, boxes of wedding favors were piled up, red ribbons scattered on the floor, and our wedding welcome poster stood against the wall. In the photo, I was smiling carelessly, Daniel's arm around my waist, his eyes on my face. I used to think that look was precious. Now it just made my eyes hurt. Daniel laid me on the bed and bent to take off my shoes. When his fingertips touched my ankle, I almost pulled away. He paused. "Emma?" I didn't answer. He sat on the edge of the bed, silent for a long time. His phone rang again. He glanced at it and immediately silenced it. When it rang a second time, he took it to the balcony. The glass door wasn't fully closed, and the rain carried his voice in. "She's asleep. Don't be difficult. The wedding planner has a rehearsal tomorrow. I can't make it. Chloe, I said I'll handle it after the wedding." I opened my eyes. The chandelier on the ceiling had 12 crystal leaves. I'd spent 3 weekends choosing it. At the time, Daniel thought it was too expensive. I said we only get married once. I wanted the place to feel bright. He ruffled my hair and said, "Whatever you say." Now the light fell down, making me look pale all over. Outside on the balcony, Daniel's voice dropped. "I can't call off the engagement now. Her parents can't take it, and my mom will make a scene. Don't threaten me with that. Go home first. Stop drinking." I sat up in bed, bare feet on the floor, the cold making me flinch. The closet door was ajar, my wedding dress hanging inside. Long white tulle trailing to the ground, the hem dotted with tiny pearls. The day Chloe went with me to try on the dress, she stood behind a mirror, eyes red, saying, "Emma, you look so beautiful in this." I turned and hugged her, said, "When you get married, I'll buy you an even more expensive one." She buried her face in my shoulder and hummed softly. She wasn't happy for me. She was thinking about how she would stand beside me, watching me marry the man she wanted. My phone screen lit up. Chloe sent a message. "Emma, are you home? Daniel took you back, right? Don't blame me for ruining the night. I was just really upset." I stared at the line of text, my thumb slowly dragging across the screen. When Daniel pushed the door open, I lay back down and closed my eyes. He stood by the bed for a moment, then pulled the blanket up to my shoulders. "Good night." He leaned down, trying to kiss my forehead. I pretended to turn over and dodged. His breath hung in the air. A few seconds later, he turned off the light and left. The door clicked shut softly. I opened my eyes. In the darkness, only the rain tapping against the window remained. I picked up my phone. The recording file sat at the top of the list, time 23 minutes 47 seconds. I tapped it. Daniel's voice, "Just hold on 3 more days," crawled out of the earpiece. I covered my mouth, my body curling down. It wasn't crying. It was my stomach heaving, wave after wave, until my vision went black. I ran to the bathroom, knelt in front of the toilet, and threw up until my throat burned, until there was nothing left but bile. In the mirror, my makeup was ruined, black smudges at the corners of my eyes, hair plastered to my face. I gripped the sink and turned the faucet on full blast. Under the rushing water, I texted my mom. "Mom, I'm coming home tomorrow.
I need to talk to you about something."
My finger hovered for a few seconds, then I deleted it. My dad has a bad heart. My mom had dug out her old gold bracelet for my wedding, saying she wanted me to marry with dignity. Now, 3 days until the wedding. The hotel balance was paid, relatives had bought their tickets, the Brooks family had sent their gift money. The wedding planner was fully settled. I couldn't just say, "I'm not getting married." I had to hold the knife steady. I dried my face, backed up the recording to the cloud, and emailed it to my other account. Then I pulled up the wedding group, the guest list, the hotel contract, the wedding contract, the gift money ledger. I went through each one, my fingers numb. At 2 a.m, Daniel was asleep on the living room couch. I walked out and picked up his jacket. In the pocket, a convenience store receipt. Condoms, mints, bottled water. Dated last Friday, 11:46 p.m. That night, he told me he was out with clients, drank too much, and slept in the car for a while. I tucked the receipt into a book and took a photo. Daniel suddenly turned over. My hand jerked. The book closed. He didn't wake up. I stood beside the couch and watched him for a long time. This man was going to be my husband in 3 days. If I hadn't pretended to sleep tonight, I would have put on my wedding dress, walked down the aisle on my dad's arm. I would have slipped the ring onto his finger, kissed him while the MC hyped the crowd. Chloe would have stood behind me, fixing my veil. Disgusting. I went back to the bedroom, closed the door, and took the wedding dress out of the closet. The scissors were buried at the bottom of the vanity drawer. I gripped them, pressed the blade against the pearl on the hem. I wanted to cut. My hand stopped in midair. In the end, I put the scissors back. The dress wasn't the one at fault. The wrong person had to rot under the lights. The next morning, Daniel made me hangover soup. He set the bowl in front of me, knuckles tapping the table. Headache. I looked up at him. There was a faint shadow under his eyes. His shirt was buttoned all the way up. Still the reliable, proper Daniel in everyone else's eyes. I took a sip. The ginger burned my tongue. Not really. Chloe was out of line last night. He sat across from me, his tone steady. "She's been stressed at work. Don't take it to heart." I stirred the soup. "Who's she in love with?" Daniel's fingers froze. The spoon clinked against the bowl. "She told you about that?" "She cried all night." "I'm not deaf." He looked down and smiled faintly. "Probably that married manager at her company. She mentioned him before." I watched him lie. His expression didn't even flicker. "Married, huh?" I set down the spoon. "That guy's a real piece of work." Daniel's Adam's apple moved.
"Yeah."
I smiled. "Why are you nervous?" He looked up, brows slightly furrowed. Am I nervous? Just kidding. I picked up my phone and opened the wedding group chat. Rehearsal is this afternoon. Don't be late. He seemed relieved. I won't. I went to the bathroom to change. After closing the door, I texted the wedding planner. Add a segment to today's rehearsal. I want to prepare a surprise for Daniel. Can the big screen connect to my phone for a slideshow? The planner replied instantly. Yes, we can test the equipment beforehand. I also called the hotel manager. Jason, I want to confirm, if we make last-minute changes to the wedding flow, are there any restrictions on playing video or audio on site? Jason said, as long as it's not illegal or against regulations, just give us a backup copy in advance. I looked at myself in the mirror. Lips pale, eyes bloodshot. Okay, I'll bring it this afternoon. After hanging up, I texted my college friend Rachel. She's a lawyer now, specializing in marriage and family disputes. I asked, if a wedding is called off, what's the safest way to handle the engagement gifts and money? She called me directly. Are you in trouble? I held the phone, my throat feeling like it was stuffed with wet cotton. Rachel went quiet on the other end. Emma, talk. I took a breath. Daniel and Chloe are hooking up. The sound of a chair scraping against the floor came through the phone. Evidence. Recordings, receipts, and chat logs I haven't gotten yet. Don't freak out yet. Rachel spoke quickly. The wedding is in 3 days. All the guests have been notified, right? Right. Who's collecting the gift money? The Brooks family took $200,000, given by my parents. Who's paying for the hotel and wedding? Daniel and I each pay half, some from the joint account. Is there still money in the joint account? I opened the banking app and checked. There was only a little over $8,000 left. Last month there was $120,000, said it was for the wedding house furniture. My fingers clenched inch by inch. I'll check the transaction history. Rachel said in a low voice, don't check it in front of him. First back up all bank cards, contracts, transfer receipts. If you want to cancel the wedding, you need to separate the financial losses and responsibilities first. You can't let them bite back and say you're emotionally unstable and called off the wedding last minute. I said, I want to play the recording at the wedding. Rachel was silent for 2 seconds. You can play it, but don't show private images, don't spread rumors. The recording source is you present low risk. What you want is self-protection, not dragging yourself into the mud. I stared at the water stains on the sink. I know, Rachel said. Do you need me to be there that day? My throat tightened. Yes. She said, I'll take leave. After the call ended, Daniel's voice came from outside. Emma, your phone keeps ringing. I opened the door and went out. He stood at the bedroom door holding my phone, screen facing down. I walked over to take it. Work messages. His fingertips pressed the edge of the phone, not letting go immediately. Don't busy yourself with work lately. There's a lot to do for the wedding. I looked up at him. You're afraid I'll be tired?
His eyes softened.
Of course. I pulled the phone back and leaned my forehead against his shoulder with a smile. His body stiffened for a moment, then he raised his hand to touch my hair. In the past, this gesture could calm me. Now I only smelled the sweet perfume on his cuff, and my throat started to feel bitter again. In the afternoon rehearsal, Chloe came wearing the bridesmaid dress. The light pink dress made her look slender, her makeup light, the redness at the corners of her eyes not covered. She walked up to me and hugged my arm. Emma, sorry about last night. I looked at her hand on my arm. She was wearing a thin ring on her ring finger, the style very familiar. I had seen it in Daniel's shopping cart. He said it was a small wedding gift for me. Later I asked him. He said it was out of stock and refunded. I reached out and touched the ring.
Pretty.
Chloe's hand jerked back. Daniel walked over from not far away. What's wrong? I smiled and said, Chloe's ring is pretty. I asked her for the link. Chloe's lips paled. Bought at a street stall. I nodded. Then you have good taste. Daniel looked at me, his eyes narrowing slightly. The lights on the stage came on, and the wedding march flowed from the speakers. The planner shouted, the bride can walk from the flower arch. I lifted my skirt and walked step by step to the end of the stage. Daniel stood there waiting for me. Chloe stood behind me, holding the trial veil for me. I was halfway when I heard the sound of fabric being stepped on and pulled from behind. I paused. The veil pulled back. The hairpin tugged, making my scalp tingle. Chloe quickly released her foot. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Daniel immediately walked over. He first studied Chloe. Did you twist your ankle? All the staff on site looked over. I stood in the middle of the red carpet, veil askew, hair roots aching from the pull. Daniel only then turned to me. Emma, are you okay? I looked at his hand holding Chloe's wrist.
Fiancé.
The planner smoothed things over. Let's do it again. I reached up and took off the veil, handed it to Chloe. Hold it steady. She took it, tears welling up again. Emma, are you mad at me? I leaned close to her ear. You guess. Her fingers trembled. The veil almost fell. After the rehearsal, Daniel said he would take Chloe home. I stood in the hotel lobby, rain crawling down the glass curtain wall, car lights outside dazzling. What about me? He was stunned for a moment. Didn't your parents say they wanted you to come home for dinner tonight? I'll take her first. She drank too much last night and isn't feeling well today. Chloe stood behind him, her eyes wet as she looked at me. Emma, I'll just take a cab myself. Don't fight because of me. Her words were conciliatory, but her feet didn't move. I slung my bag strap over my shoulder.
Fiancé.
You take her then. Daniel's brow relaxed slightly. I'll pick you up later. No need. I turned and walked into the rain. The rain wasn't heavy, but it stung cold against my face. Once outside the hotel, I didn't call a cab. Instead, I circled around to the underground parking exit. Daniel's car pulled out soon after. Chloe sat in the passenger seat. She tilted her head toward him, lips curved, holding the thermos I'd packed for Daniel that morning. The taillights turned at the intersection, and my rideshare followed. The driver glanced at me in the rearview mirror. Following a car? I said, yeah, catching a cheater. The driver's hand twitched, and the car swayed. I looked down and sent Rachel my location. They left the hotel. Rachel replied, don't do anything rash. Take photos and videos. Don't go into unfamiliar places alone. The car drove for 20 minutes and stopped at a private cinema. I watched them get out one after the other. Chloe's strap had slipped a little. Daniel reached up and fixed it for her. The gesture was so familiar it stung. I raised my phone and photographed their backs as they walked inside. The girl at the front desk looked at me as I came in and asked if I had a reservation. I glanced at the package prices on the wall. Couple's room, double recliner, red wine, projector. My stomach lurched again. Those two who just walked in, which room? The front desk girl frowned. We can't disclose guest information. I put my ID and bank card on the counter. Then give me the room next to theirs. The girl looked at my face and didn't ask any more questions. The wall between the rooms wasn't very thick. I sat on the sofa, ear pressed to the wall, and heard Chloe's voice in fragments.
You helped me today. She saw.
Daniel said. She didn't think much of it. Chloe laughed. How do you know? She trusts me. I gripped my phone, knuckles white. Chloe said, and you? Do you think she'll always trust you? A rustle of fabric. Daniel's voice was a little hoarse. Chloe, don't push me. Am I pushing you? Her voice suddenly carried a sob. You said Emma's family has money, so marrying her would put your mom at ease and help with your company's cash flow. You told me to wait. I waited, and now you blame me for pushing. Cash flow. My mind went blank. That $120,000 in the joint account wasn't for furniture at all. Daniel said, I'll pay that money back. Chloe said, you use her money to fund your company, then use her parents' betrothal gifts to reassure your mom. You want to marry her, and you tell me not to cry. Daniel, you're crueler than me. Daniel was silent. Chloe said again, kiss me and I'll stop. A few seconds of quiet from the other side. Then I heard a soft sound. My phone camera was still pointed at the wall. The recording timer hit 7 minutes. I didn't cry. All I saw was the white light from the projector screen flickering coldly. Half an hour later, they came out. I slipped into the emergency stairwell a step ahead. Through the crack in the door, I saw Chloe with her arm linked through Daniel's, her cheek pressed against his shoulder. She said, "On the wedding day, will you look at her and feel your heart soften?" Daniel pressed the elevator button.
No.
Chloe asked again, "And if she cries?" The elevator doors opened. Daniel said, "She won't make a scene in front of other people." I stood in the stairwell, my nails digging into my palm. So, even my composure can be used against me. After they left, I walked to the front desk. "Can you print a receipt for the room I just booked?" The girl nodded. The thermal paper came out, still warm to the touch. I folded the receipt and put it in my bag. That evening, I went home. My parents were already waiting at the dinner table. My mother brought out soup and complained that I'd lost weight. The wedding is only 3 days away. Don't diet anymore. You need to fill out the dress to look good. My father was reading the guest list through his reading glasses. The Brooks family said today they want to add 2 more relatives to the head table. Emma, ask Daniel if the hotel can adjust. I sat down, holding my chopsticks. The aroma of chicken soup rose, but I couldn't swallow a bite. My mother put a piece of chicken in my bowl. "What's wrong?" I looked at them. My father's hair was half gray. My mother still had the gold bangle she'd prepared for me on her wrist. She wore it every day, so she wouldn't forget. Those words rushed to my lips, but I swallowed them back down. I couldn't let them go empty-handed and humiliated. I had to get back everything that was mine. It's nothing. I lowered my head and drank the soup, the hot broth sliding down my throat. "Mom, Dad, do you still have the transfer receipts for the wedding gifts?" The wedding planner said they need to verify the payment flow. My dad immediately put down the list. "Yes, I'll send it to you." My mom looked at me with confusion. "Why are you checking that now?" I picked up a piece of chicken and chewed for a long time, just worried it might be a mess. Worried someone might cook the books. The next day, I took a half day off and went to Daniel's company building. He had been running his own business for 2 years, wedding videography and commercial shoots. When things were toughest, I helped him find clients, revised his proposals, even got my dad's old classmate's corporate promo video for him. The receptionist recognized me and smiled, calling me sister-in-law. "Daniel's in the meeting room." I nodded. "I'll wait for him." The meeting room door wasn't fully closed. A male voice came from inside. "Daniel, we have to pay the supplier's balance today. Otherwise, the big screens for the wedding won't be delivered." Daniel said, "I'll figure something out." "Figure what out?" "The account's empty." I stood outside the door, my fingers resting on the cold doorframe. Another person lowered his voice. "Aren't you getting married soon? Her family can still help, right?" Daniel's voice turned heavy. "Don't go after her." I almost laughed. At least he knew how ugly that sounded. The meeting ended. A few people walked out and froze when they saw me. Daniel's expression shifted. "What are you doing here?" I held up the lunchbox in my hand. "Bringing you lunch." He led me into his office and closed the door. "Didn't I tell you to rest?" I set the lunchbox on the desk, my eyes sweeping over his computer. The screen wasn't locked. A WeChat message popped up in the bottom right corner. "Chloe, you said last night you wouldn't go soft." "I remember." Daniel immediately reached over and turned off the screen. I pretended not to see it. "Is your company short on money?" A flicker of irritation crossed his face, quickly suppressed. "No, just a small issue." "What about the $12,000 in our joint account?" His hand holding the chopstick stopped. "I told you, we used it to buy furniture." "Show me the receipt." "My mom wants to see it." Daniel looked up. "Why does she need to see that?" I stared at him. "My parents paid the wedding gift money, and we also chipped in for the house renovation. Is it strange for them to ask?" His face darkened. "Emma, don't make a fuss over little things before the wedding." I gave a small smile. 12,000 is a little thing? He put down his chopsticks, softening his voice. "I've been under a lot of pressure lately." I didn't mean to sound harsh. "I moved the money to cover company cash flow. I'll pay it back once the project payment comes in." "Why didn't you tell me?" "I didn't want you to worry." I looked at his face. Liars always wrap the knife in sugar. "Daniel, you took the money we saved for our wedding to save your company, and you didn't tell me." He reached out and took my hand. I didn't pull away. Emma, we're about to be husband and wife. My struggles are your struggles, aren't they? After he said that, he even seemed relieved. As if just by bringing up the word, husband and wife, I was supposed to bow my head and accept it. I slowly withdrew my hand. Does Chloe know? His eyes froze. What does she have to do with this? Just asking. I stood up. I want to watch a movie tonight. Just the two of us. He glanced at his phone. I have a client tonight. Cancel it. He frowned. I looked at him, speaking each word clearly. 3 days before our wedding, I want to watch a movie with my fiancé. Is that too much to ask? Daniel was silent for a few seconds.
Fine.
After I left his company, I went to the bank and pulled 6 months of statements for our joint account. $12,000 had been transferred to a supplier's account, then split into 3 transfers the same day. One of them went to Chloe, $36,000. The memo said design fee. Chloe studied early childhood education. After graduation, she worked as a store manager at a children's photography studio. She had never taken a design job in her life. I photographed the statements and sent them to Rachel. Rachel replied, "She took the money. We can go after that later. Right now, you're missing one key piece, proof of significant premarital concealment and malicious transfer of jointly saved wedding funds." I asked, would WeChat chat logs be enough?
Partially.
Best if you can get them, but don't do anything illegal.
You can get him to say it himself.
I stared at my phone screen, my chest rising and falling slowly. At 7 in the evening, Daniel came to pick me up. I deliberately chose the movie theater next to that private cinema. While we were waiting in line to pick up tickets, his phone kept buzzing. I looked at him. Who is it? A client. I reached out my hand. Let me see. Why is the client so clingy? His face changed. Emma. I laughed and shoved the popcorn into his arms. Just kidding. 20 minutes into the movie, he couldn't sit still. On the screen, the lead couple embraced. Beside me, his phone lit up and then dimmed. I leaned back in my seat and started recording. He finally looked down to reply to a message. I tilted my head and saw the words from Chloe. I'm downstairs at your place. I want to see you. If you don't come, I'll go find Emma. Daniel's face went pale instantly. He stood up. I need to step out and take a call. I grabbed his wrist. The movie isn't over yet. It's urgent. A client. His lips pressed tight. I let go. Go ahead. He bent down to squeeze past me. His steps hurried. I followed behind him, a few rows back, and watched him dial at the end of the hallway. Are you crazy? The voice on the other end was shrill. Even I could hear it. You're watching a movie with her? What am I? Daniel suppressed his anger. Leave first. I'm not leaving. Chloe, the wedding is almost here. Don't mess things up. I stood behind an advertising light box, holding up my phone. Daniel said, after the wedding, I'll give you an explanation. Chloe sobbed. You always say that. Daniel growled. I'm marrying her to stabilize the situation, not because I love her. Is that enough? A couple walked through the hallway. The girl glanced at me, then quickly looked away. I pressed save. When the screen went dark, I felt strangely calm. That was enough. The day before the wedding, the Brooks family invited my parents to dinner. The venue was an old-school Cantonese restaurant. The private room door was plastered with a double happiness symbol, and the table was set with red date and lotus seed soup. Daniel's mother, Linda, sat at the head of the table, wearing the jade bracelet my mom had given her. She smiled warmly. My dear future in-laws, after tomorrow, will be one family. My mom smiled back, pulling out the list of gifts prepared for the Brooks relatives. Take a look and see if I've missed anything. Linda didn't take the list. She looked at me first. Emma, there's something your auntie wants to discuss with you. Daniel sat beside me, his chopsticks pausing midair. I said, go ahead. Linda sighed. Daniel's company has some funds tied up lately. It's tough for young people starting a business. Since you're getting married, you're a team. That little apartment under your name, could you mortgage it temporarily to help him through this rough patch? My mom's smile froze. My dad set down his teacup. That apartment is Emma's premarital property. Linda waved her hand immediately. Robert, don't misunderstand. I'm not asking for the house, just a temporary bridge. Daniel won't let Emma down. I looked at Daniel.
He wasn't looking at me.
Linda continued. Besides, when a girl marries, she should prioritize her little family. The house is just sitting there, helping your husband out. Outsiders will praise Emma for being sensible. Under the table, my mom gripped my hand.
Her palm was sweaty.
I patted her gently. Linda, does Daniel know about this? Linda glanced at her son. He's too shy to bring it up himself, so as his mother, I have to speak for him. Daniel muttered, Mom, stop. Linda shot him a look. You're still defending her? If the company can't make it through this month, what are you going to use to get married and support a family? The room fell silent. My dad's face darkened. Daniel, if your company is in such serious trouble, why didn't you say anything before? Daniel gripped his water glass. Uncle, I can handle it. I pulled out bank statements and placed them on the Lazy Susan, giving it a gentle push. The papers slid to the center of the table. You siphoned off $120,000 from the wedding fund and transferred $36,000 to Chloe. Is that also handling it? Linda's face changed. Who is Chloe? I looked at Daniel. His lips pressed into a thin line. A design collaborator. I laughed. She graduated in early childhood education and manages a children's photography studio. What design work is she doing for you? Linda jumped in immediately. Young people these days have many skills. Taking on freelance work is normal. Emma, you're about to join this family. Don't investigate your husband like he's a criminal. My mom couldn't hold back anymore. Join this family? My daughter isn't even married yet, and you're already eyeing her house, stealing her wedding money, and now you're complaining about her asking questions? Linda's face flushed. My dear-in-law, that's an ugly thing to say. My dad set his teacup down with a heavy clink. Ugly? I haven't even asked where the $200,000 in gift money went. Linda's eyes flickered. The gift money is naturally being saved for the young couple. I said, then transfer it back now. The door to the private room was knocked on, and the waiter came in with soup, only to be startled back half a step by the atmosphere inside. Linda lowered her voice. Emma, the wedding is tomorrow. Do you have to make a scene today? I put away the bank statement. You were the one who first asked for my house. Daniel finally spoke. Emma, let's eat first. I'll explain when we get home. I looked at him. Explain now. There was fatigue in his eyes. The company's cash flow is indeed tight. I didn't tell you because I didn't want to affect the wedding. That money for Chloe was a commission I gave her for helping connect with clients. I asked, what's the client's name? His Adam's apple bobbed. It's been too long. I'll check when I get back. Last month's matter, too long. Linda slapped the table. Emma, don't be so aggressive. Hasn't Daniel been good to you all these years? When men work outside, some accounts can't be explained clearly at once. As a wife, you need to learn to turn a blind eye. My mom stood up angrily. My daughter hasn't even entered your family yet, and you're teaching her to endure? I held my mom back. Mom,
Sit down.
I turned to Linda. Auntie, the wedding will go on as planned tomorrow. Daniel looked up sharply. I met his eyes. And the accounts will be settled. A flicker of relief passed through his eyes, but was suppressed by my next words. In front of everyone, Linda frowned. What do you mean? I put my napkin back on the table. You'll find out tomorrow. Coming out of the Cantonese restaurant, Daniel chased after me to the parking lot. The ground was puddled after the rain, and the car lights swept over, making his face look pale.
Emma.
It was the first time he called me by my full name. I stopped. My parents turned around ahead. I said to them, You two get in the car first. My mom was worried. I said, I know what I'm doing. After they got in, Daniel walked up to me. You made both families lose face today. I looked at him. Your mom wants to mortgage my house. Should I applaud her? He closed his eyes. I'll handle her. You can't handle it. My voice was very soft. Daniel, you can't even handle yourself. The color drained from his face. What do you mean? I looked at his collar. There was a faint red mark there. Not one I left. Where were you last night? His Adam's apple moved. The office. I said, after the movie ended, I waited for you an hour and a half. His brow twitched. Something came up. Chloe was outside your apartment building. Was that also something coming up? The wind in the parking lot crept into my sleeves. My fingers were cold from the breeze. Daniel's expression changed. You followed me? What are you afraid I'll see? He stepped forward and grabbed my wrist. Emma, listen to me. I shook him off. Don't touch me. His hand froze in midair. I had never spoken to him in that tone before. In our worst fights, I would only ask him why with red eyes. He said quietly, Chloe and I aren't what you think. I almost laughed. Then what is it? She's not in a good state. I was just taking care of her. Taking care of her at a private cinema? His face completely changed. I watched him panic inch by inch. My heart didn't loosen. I only felt absurd. He tried to pull me, his hand reaching out halfway before stopping. How much did you hear? I said, enough to hear that you married me to stabilize the situation. His lips turned white. That was said in anger. And kissing her was also in anger? Daniel's breath caught. My mom honked the horn in the car. I didn't look back. Daniel's voice went hoarse. Emma, I was wrong. Those 3 words came too fast, too lightly. She and I just got close during this period. The wedding pressure was too much, and she kept crying. I lost control for a moment. I stared at him. You blame the wedding. You blame her crying. You blame the pressure. But you just won't admit you're dirty. The muscles in his face tightened. Do you have to humiliate me like this? Humiliate. I took out my phone and played the recording. His voice came out of the speaker. I married her to stabilize the situation, not because I love her. Is that enough? Daniel reached to grab it. I stepped back. Try again, and I'll send it to the wedding group chat right now. He stopped. Rainwater dripped from the edge of the parking lot ceiling, splashing into puddles. He looked at me, and finally, there was panic in his eyes. Emma, don't send it. What are you afraid of? Didn't you say I wouldn't make a scene in front of others? His face looked like he'd been slapped. I put away my phone. Tomorrow's wedding, you and Chloe both come. What are you trying to do? I turned and walked toward the car. He called after me. Emma, don't take things too far. I paused for a moment, didn't look back. The one taking things too far isn't me. That night, I organized all the evidence into 3 folders. Recordings, bank statements, receipts, and photos. Rachel sat on the carpet in my bedroom. Listened to the recording, her face cold and frightening. Those 2 are really dirty. I plugged the USB drive into the computer. Can we play it on the big screen tomorrow? Yes. She renamed the files. Only play the parts related to you. Don't edit them to distort the truth. Don't add subjective subtitles. For the bank statements, just show the transfer facts. Don't call it fraud. Leave the rest to the lawyer's letter. I nodded. Rachel looked at me. Can you handle it? I looked down at the wedding dress. The white gauze was spread on the bed, pearls gleaming one by one. Even if I can't handle it, I have to. My mom pushed the door open, holding a cup of hot milk. She saw Rachel, then saw the files on the computer, and stopped in her tracks. Emma. I stood up. Mom. Her eyes instantly turned red. What's going on? My lips moved, but my voice got stuck in my throat. Rachel stood up and said softly, Susan, let me explain. After my mom heard it, she was silent for a long time. Her hand holding the milk kept shaking, milk spilling over the rim. My dad stood at the door, his face as dark as iron. Finally, my mom came over and hugged me. She didn't say a single word of comfort, just pressed me into her arms. I smelled the scent of laundry detergent mixed with kitchen grease on her. That's when I finally let the tears fall. My mom stroked my hair. Tomorrow, Mom will go with you. My dad said, Dad will go too. I looked up. It's going to be ugly. My dad walked in and placed the gold bracelet he had prepared for me into my palm. The ones who will look ugly are them, not my daughter.